Good morning. Here's Frankie. He's so mad because I had him out of the room while I made the bed. Fresh sheets. Yes. And fresh pillowcases. I washed those satiny pillowcases I got from Temu. And they fit so nice. And that envelope design, which I was like, oh, that's not going to be nice. That'll be messy. It was really... It fit on those firm foam pillows that I use for my back if I decide to read in bed, really nicely. And the body pillow was pretty easy to get on. Hi, you mad at Mama? Sorry. I know it hurts his feelings so. No, don't scratch me. Mama's got old skin. I know he likes to scratch me. Wish he wouldn't do that. I'm gonna put some CeraVe on my skin. I bought a gallon of castor oil, so I refilled some empty bottles. So I'm gonna put a squirt of that with my CeraVe. Put it on my old skin. Hey, you know what's been on my mind is that we're not ready to change until we're ready to change. I'm going to talk to you about mental health. You know, people. Now let's just take you out of the mix for a sec. We all know people who do the same things over and over and over again, getting the same results, and we think, oh, they're crazy. But if we stop, some of us could point the finger back at ourselves and think, wow, look at some of the stuff I keep doing over and over and over again. The same people I keep doing over and over and over again. The same daydreams I have over and over and over again. Daydreams about trauma or the good old days or what things used to be like when, good or bad. There are some people as well who say they want to change. They want to be out of pain, or they want to, Frankie, no. Come. Yeah, you can't go in that room. You can come in this room or you can go outside. Yeah. Good. Oh, downward dog. Good boy. He does downward dog and cobra. Oh, you did it. You're such a good boy. Okay, jump. Jump. Good boy. So people will say, I want to change. I want these thoughts to stop happening or whatever. And yet they do the very things that cause it, like allowing the brain to even go there, not knowing or refusing to believe that mental health isn't supposed to be easy. Change isn't supposed to be easy. It feels like it's wrong to grow or to stretch ourselves in a certain way. We have to believe that the most dangerous thing, that feels like the most dangerous thing, could actually be a move in the right direction. Like not picking someone we know is making us miserable to get married to, or to go on a trip with, or to join a group with. And do it anyway, instead of hearing that voice and respecting it and saying, oh, okay, I'm not going to do it, and allow the terror of being alone set in. I know. And when I say terror, I mean terror. There are people who think mental health is supposed to, well, if it's the right thing to do, it should feel easy, right? No, because it's going against your neural pathways. And here's another thing. A lot of people won't change, because even if it's the right change, the healthy change, the change that any outsider would go, oh my God, you're going to have such a much better life if you don't do that. But what happens is the person whose neural pathways are used to making the same decisions and having the same behaviors and the same events happen over and over and over again. The deal is, it feels so familiar. It feels like home. It feels like it's nature. It's the right thing to do. And our brain will support it in any way it can to continue doing it, because it feels like that's the natural decision. Even if it feels like self-punishment, even if it's with the full knowledge this is going to be a terrible relationship. It won't matter, because the brain says, basically what it's saying is, this is home. So even people who have, say, trauma from a terrible accident, or watching a terrible accident, someone kill themselves, or for me, I've worked with a lot of suicidal people, and so the record's pretty good, but it's not perfect. I remember bragging about it being perfect, and a few months later I got my first one. Yeah. Well, I was in business for a long time before my first one. Anyway, the first one that I knew about. Because we were currently working together. But it's not that I'm cynical, because I really had a lot of emotions around it. And I did for a while. The difference with me and a lot of other people is that, well, some of us want to stop hurting because we've made a decision to live our lives. There are some people who feel that they are destined to have bad luck or a hard life. And they've just accepted that. The problem is, it's almost like you've taken the chaos theory out, you've taken physiology and nature out, you've taken religion out, that there's no one who's supposed to have a rotten life. As happens. And sometimes it happens a lot when you're raised by wolves. But that does not mean you're supposed to have a terrible life and to suffer all the time. You're just not supposed to. It's not how it's supposed to be. So part of healing is accepting, making a decision, and then accepting every single day, all day long, that you want to live your life in a natural form, instead of putting ourselves in this little jar and keeping ourselves there and doing the same grind over and over again. Oh, I'm doing better. No, I'm not. This back and forth. You have to be committed to stop thought, change thought, or even writing a different scenario, like, we'll say having an experience where you smell blood. You have to be able, like for me, I changed it to the smell of roses or vanilla. A rose vanilla. So it took the out of it. And of course, I don't, excuse me, I did not mess with raw meat for a long time. I wouldn't buy a whole chicken. I would have to buy it boneless breasts. That was the only kind of meat that and bacon were the only kind of meat I could really buy and not be nauseous. So I was tender and gentle with myself. I didn't give myself the message each and every time I went to buy meat. Oh, I have to buy this to be safe. Oh, I have to do this to not trigger myself. I just did it as if it were natural. Yummy, I'm buying white chicken breasts. I love the ease of fixing that. And bacon, I love bacon. You know, never sausage or link sausage or anything like that. But I didn't tell the whole scenario, the whole story every time I made a decision to do things differently or the same. See what I mean? See what I mean, Jelly Bean? We tell ourselves these stories, and it's not so much that we have to have these positive mental attitude, these positive stories all the time. What we have to do is stop telling the bad stories all the time. All the time. Oh, you think I'm being dramatic? Okay. If you have a bad memory, start keeping track of how often you do it. People are having these memories, they're allowing them to happen without realizing it throughout the day. Or especially if they're doing dishes or going to the bathroom or taking a shower or bathing their child. Or when their child comes to sit on their lap. Or when they're changing a diaper. And if it's not the thought, it's the feeling. The body memory. And keep a notice. Write it down every time you have these negative thoughts, repeated thoughts. Notice that they're repeated, and notice how they're making you feel physically. Are they really making? Whoopsie! I sprayed the wrong direction. Duh. These little things, they could have deeper crevices. I would love that. I would love that. Excuse me. Oh my God, my allergies. Okay, so sometimes I just have to cough so hard. But I'll tell you what, I've been able to take a break from a lot of my medications here lately because I don't know. I guess the different things are in a different bloom. Oh, it feels so much better. And I love being able to give my system a break from medication. Not forever. I'm not trying to stay off of it forever. I mean, I've accepted that it's very useful to me. I just think our brain needs a break. Like, I didn't know Benadryl, for me, made me have short-term memory loss. Or memory loss. So I quit taking Benadryl altogether. But I was taking that for my allergies. I was taking it to go to sleep at night. And then I'd realize, finally realized I wasn't remembering what I watched on TV the night before. You know, that's okay once in a while where you forget what you had for breakfast or whatever. That's all right. But when you do it every night, every day you go, how are you doing catching up on that documentary? I don't remember watching it last night. Yeah, you can't do that over and over and over again and not start to think, something's wrong here. So anyway, back to doing the same thing over and over and over again. Oh, I need to get rid of a little forehead hair here. I noticed that while I was putting makeup on. I thought, is that dry skin? And then I realized, that's not dry skin. Those are baby hairs. Yeah, so time to get rid of that. When I was a kid, I hated my widow's peak. I even cut it off once. But I've liked it since I've gotten into adulthood. Just fine. Should have done that before I put foundation on, but okie dokie. So much easier than tweezing everything all the time. Why did I wait so long to get this? Huh? Have you ever done that? All right, well, it can work the same way. Let's get back on track, because I'm going to finish up this conversation and take Frankie out for a run. There are some people who they're certainly not going to admit to being suicidal. And you certainly don't have to, because it's not suicidal. It's almost like, in those days, I'm not trying to kill myself. I'm just not going to stop doing the things that make me feel like I don't deserve to live. Or do the things that prove that I don't think life is worth living. Does that make sense? Like driving down the highway and daydreaming about hitting an embankment or driving off the bridge or the ledge. Not planning on doing it, just kind of daydreaming about it. Or getting in a fight with somebody and be in the process of making the decision to make up and think, well, I don't deserve any better than this anyway. Or I don't have time for anything any better than this. Or I guess I should love deeper, stronger. Or maybe it is my fault. Knowing it isn't, but somehow twisting things up until you believe that, well, if you try a little harder. And I'm not saying that's not normal and healthy at some level. But let's face it, also at some level, it's crapola. I don't know. I'm going to use brown today, even though I'm wearing gray. I got this Temu palette a while back. It's called Jaded, and it's all matte. I love all matte. This is all matte, every color. Yeah, I don't do shine anymore. My eyelids are too hooded, and I get uncomfortable watching older women wear shiny eyeshadow unless they're really beautiful. And that's no judgment. I mean, everybody's beautiful in their own way. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying, like someone like Rose can pull off shiny eyeshadow. Not everybody can do that without looking funny. Like me, I cannot pull off shiny, because I look like an Easter egg. I'm too white. I think people with darker skin can pull off more color as long as it's not too bright. That's just my opinion. There's a commercial of a lady, she's singing, and I don't know what she's advertising, Ozempic or something, probably some kind of diabetic medicine or something like that. And she's wearing a real sparkly blue dress. She's singing like in a jazz club or something. And they have her in the shiniest, brightest blue, like evening blue, not navy blue, but the kind of blue that, why is my eyeliner flaking? It's flaked the last 2 times I've used it. I wonder if I just need to open a new tube. Huh. Yeah, I think I'm gonna open a new tube. Maybe it's just that one's getting old. Sometimes it's not that the brand quits working, it's that the tube gets too much oxygen and contamination from putting it on and off. That's why you should only use these 3 or 4 months long. Sometimes I'll mark when I'm thinking, well, I'll have a Marks a Lot in my drawer. I wonder, I must have loaned it to the kitchen because I had several dry up, I guess, and I needed to write down some information on plastic bags that I was storing in the freezer. So I'll have to go get it again and label my stuff. But yeah, you have to sometimes, that's why it's so great to get things at an affordable price, because when they quit working, you don't have to keep stressing over trying to make them work. Oh, isn't that funny? That kind of works into mental health. Sometimes we try to make life work, and we just get used to living with that stress. Instead of saying, you know what? Let's throw this away and try something new. Yeah. Well, I don't know. That's what I say. And here's the thing. Why in the world would I not use a new eyeliner when I've got a whole drawer full of them? Remember, I bought like 10 of these, so I've got some, and I'll put that in my little trash bag. There we go. Oh, these goat hairs grow so fast. This works better than my other eraser. I'm very impressed. Okay. So, back to trauma. So if we want to quit remembering someone hitting us and hurting us, if we want to quit remembering a situation disappointing us, like someone not listening to our advice and they got hurt or died or killed themselves, if we want to quit thinking of those things, and I'm going to tell you that those scenarios are more common than you think. You're not alone. If all of us quit living our lives or re-traumatize ourselves over and over again because we've gone through something like that, we'd all be a hot mess. It'd be so sad. It'd be so sad. So let's remember that if we want to change that torture, we have to be dedicated to it until it's easy. Not that we're forgetting that person, honoring them. We don't honor somebody that's passed on, or this situation, or prove that we've taken this situation seriously by letting it have its place in history. Re-traumatizing ourselves or those around us doesn't change history, and it doesn't honor the present and the dreams of the future. If you're going to do this, try to do it before you put on foundation. Good grief. I know. I don't have to please anyone though today, except myself. I just like to make sure I'm presentable, because when the neighborhood kids are out, I like to feel presentable. And these grandma wrinkles. I need to fill in those wrinkles with a little powder, which makes them worse, but it also makes wearing lip gloss not leak as bad. Maybe. I don't know. I know this 24-hour lip gloss is pretty popular, and Timu's made their own imitation on it, but it's certainly not my favorite. Matter of fact, I'm gonna mop it down. Sometimes I like to have fun mixing and matching, but honestly, it's such a waste of time. It's kind of like cooking. Sometimes you just want to have fun with cooking, but it doesn't mean you're a great cook. Like me. I'm not. All right, you. So give some thought to whether you have some trauma on board or not, and what you want to do about it. If you do, we'll talk some more about it. We'll talk more about it. More about how to do narrative therapy. Narrative therapy is really good. It's about telling a story. Like when I lost one of my clients to suicide, what I did in the very first few days, and then I recognized it, that's when you're sensitive, that's when doing the groove is imprints a lot more when you're sensitive and just going through it. That's why it's important to what I'm calling stall. Like just glide through it like you're on a hang glider. You know, the older and wiser we get, the more we can say, okay, I'm taking this all in, but I'm going to try not to judge or criticize or anybody, including myself. So it's like I was stalling through it. I was having emotions. I was crying on a friend's shoulder, just going through what happened, not making up stuff that's not true, like I'm not a good enough therapist or what have you, because I know I'm a good therapist. My feelings were hurt because I wasn't magic. So anyway, and then as I calmed down, I was able to take the bits and pieces of the story that I had with this client and create a beautiful bond of knowing that if I were going to commit suicide, I would have wanted me for a therapist. The eye contact we had, the trust, the closeness, the effort to live. It was a beautiful thing to be a part of. And then when it came to the denial and stubbornness, to understand that it could have been me at one time in my life. There were times when I was so stubborn that I would have let go, or I would have done something very dangerous had there not been someone or something like me there to help. So I was able to transpose this client's story into a story of challenge. Like, okay, bring on the next one. We'll keep working at it. We'll keep working at it. People will finally give up if they can't, because one day of therapy a week isn't going to cure some people's mental health issues, if they're not really, really ready, really wanting it, right? I remember having so many little successes in my work with this particular client. And I was able to see some of the struggles and challenges and like the, oh my God, you dumbass moments with this particular client, with a sense of almost humor, knowing that that person tried as hard as they could. And I can relate to that. I'm one of the lucky ones. What an honor it was to get to work with that client before they said goodbye to this planet. There are some people who want so badly to win at something. And if they don't win at that thing, their temper is so bad, they're going to just give up. Why can't I have it my way? Why can't I have it my way? Because that's not life. Crappy things happen. Now, what are we going to do about it? Sometimes it's just stop fighting. Stop fighting. Stop fighting the fact it isn't different. Stop fighting the fact that I can't save every single body. At least I have the guts to work with people whom a lot of therapists won't touch. A lot of therapists don't want to work with someone who's suicidal. They don't want that on their plate. You know how many therapists dropped out completely during COVID? They were so overworked. I thrived during COVID. I don't know why. I'm one of the lucky ones. I've learned not to put them down. I've learned that we're just different. I work with people who are stubborn. I work with people who are dangerous to themselves, not others. I don't work with people who are dangerous to others. I get tired of that. I've done it before. I did it for several years with domestic violence perpetrators and victims. But there are some people out there who are pretty hard-headed. But if they want to change their life, they can. It's the people who say, I don't think I can change, or I can't change, I can't change. Those are the people who I'll listen to it for a while, and I like to challenge myself to change that idea and help them understand how ridiculous that is. I try to do it in a therapeutic way, though, of course. Alexis might be listening. I don't want to lose my license yet. But to me, I know how hard-headed I was when I was younger. If I thought it was too hard, I just, it wouldn't be surprising that someone gave up on me, right? So you have to be as hard-headed as wanting to change as you are as hard-headed as wanting to not change. You don't have to smell blood anymore. You don't have to see that last second before the impact. You don't have to visualize the person next to you in a certain condition. You don't have to imagine the touch or the hurt, the pain. You can change that story and start pushing that away. It's not like you're going to forget it forever, but you push it away, stop thought, and change thought into how strong you are, or what a beautiful few moments of compassion and love you had before it happened, depending on what the story is, of the lovely support you've gained since then, or the way you've gained insight in how to help the next person. Especially as a therapist, someone who is a helper, to go through bad things, there are some people who are not designed to understand that, no, life isn't fair sometimes. Sometimes it just isn't fair. Sometimes it's a freaking trip. I mean, if you've ever read the book, what was it, 1984 by Orwell, you read that book and you think, holy cow, that'd be messed up. I hope that doesn't happen in my lifetime. And then you start putting things together and thinking, oh my God. You know, sometimes you just have to stop thinking about that crap. It doesn't matter if it's true or not. It doesn't matter. Just like the news, at some point, does it matter? Yes. Is it affecting your life right now? If it is, then let's talk. If it isn't, then we need to figure out a way to keep on living, right? We can't let our gut rot because we don't know what else to do. We got to figure out what else to do. And there is help. There is help. And it's exciting. And the first couple successes are so yummy. It's like, oh my gosh, I just got through the day without thinking anything horrible. To experience not having to be on low or medium heat all day, every single day, even in your sleep, grinding your teeth or sucking your cheeks, or having health issues, and being able to go, whew, this is what it feels like to be off, not hot, not warm, not simmer. Interesting. Interesting to not be narrating my day. Do you narrate your day? Try not narrating. Just doing. Like when I put on makeup, I'm not, unless I'm talking to you about putting on makeup, I'm not going, oh, now I'm putting on foundation, now I'm doing this, now I'm doing that. It's like, no, just do. When you're cooking, when you're doing the dishes, just do. Don't narrate it. That's a big trauma trigger and healing process, is to recognize when you're being triggered, when you're even if it's not a big trigger, it's like, okay, you just keep grooving every day in that rut, getting more and more. So you have to jump out, change thought or non-thought. Non-thought is a beautiful place. Something else I was going to add before I go, but I can't think of it right now. I'm sorry. What was I going to say? Well, I'm going to challenge you to accept that if you're constantly worried, maybe it would help to talk to your doctor about options, or roll up your sleeves and let's get to work. Do the homework. Part of my trauma therapy was physically releasing the tension through dance, through drumming, through talk therapy, through learning and experiencing and being walked through relaxation techniques. Because they'd say, oh, here's some instructions, try this at home. And I'm like, no, I needed someone to be there with me, because it's almost like I needed permission to do each and every little step, because otherwise I felt like I wasn't on. Like I always had to be on medium, ready to catch, ready to save someone's life, ready to not let someone die, ready to stop the madness. Oh, that poor little girl. Starting when I was a little girl. And I've just been blessed with finding my place there in life. But I had to be able to move. See how I'm moving? I started talking about it, started choking up a little bit. Well, maybe there's a little bit more in there. But it just because we process our trauma doesn't mean that we forget. Doesn't mean we can't honor. Doesn't mean we've lost our humanity or our ability to feel deeply, be passionate. I'm just so grateful that somehow I was able to find a way to live before I die. How about that? All right, y'all. I love you. Mwah. Gotta go. But I'll talk to you soon. All right. Bye for now.